Discussion, all those in favor? Motion is carried. I need a motion to adopt the special council minutes of November the 4th. Councillor Nixon, seconded by Councillor English. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And I also need a motion to approve the inaugural council minutes of December the 1st. Councillor Sauls, Councillor Ronaldo. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Against? Councillor Ronaldo? You're in favor?
I am in favor. My understanding of the procedure is you don't have to put
I just want to make sure it was
Okay, thank you.
in the right direction and making sure you weren't preoccupied with your iPad. One of these sections that's a little bit new to me is announcements from the mayor, but I think I'd like to take this opportunity to talk about some of the things that I've been involved with the last week since being sworn in. I attended the new displays that were opened up at the museum, and that was part of the Resort Municipality Initiative, which was nice to see. I helped out a little bit with the Revelstoke District Humane Society. They had their animal pictures with Santa and auction and bakery at the Curling Club, which was very well attended. I've had lots of good comments about the public works and the job that they've done putting Christmas lights around the town. I just wanted to pass on all the thanks that I've been receiving for that. I think it looks great. As well as Pat and I attended the Small Business Christmas Party on Saturday night, and thank you to the organizing committee. And also, it was nice to see a huge city contingent in the Santa Claus Parade on Saturday. And again, thanks to the fire department and all the city staff that decorated and participated, and the council that shared the glory with me at the back of the 1938 pickle. Of course, other than Councillor Nixon, who was a little bit wimpy because of the weather. So we had a special fire truck just for her. And she really knows how to drive that truck. We have delegation today. The Revelstoke Golf Club is in attendance, and I'm not sure who is going to be leading the charge.
Heather's going to introduce them and I'll
Okay.
present.
Firstly, I'd just like to congratulate all of you for being elected. And secondly, I'd like to introduce ourselves. I have Sabina Spaulding here. She is one of our directors on our board, as well as our ladies club captain. She also has a degree in marketing, yippee for us, which is awesome. And anyway, she's going to do the PowerPoint presentation today. And part of our 5-year strategic plan is to work with our stakeholders and build those relationships. And what we've done over the last 8 to 10 months is actually build that relationship with the Revelstoke Credit Union, the Chamber of Commerce, Tourism Revelstoke, and RMR. We've had meetings with RMR. We've also had meetings with our Revelstoke Insurance. We've also set up a finance committee, worked with the Chamber of Commerce as well. So today and moving forward, we're actually hoping that the most important stakeholder, which is the City of Revelstoke, actually becomes part of this team. So I'm going to turn the presentation over to Sabina, and just thanking you for your time. And I want to also let you know that we have our financial statements coming to us on the 11th for our AGM from BDO. So we haven't been able to present them to you. We did want to get them to you, but unfortunately just couldn't get them on this date, so they are coming. Okay, so I'm going to turn everything over to Sabina. Sabina.
All right, so my name's Sabina again. I'm on the board of directors of the golf club. I'm the ladies club captain. I just came on board midway through the season and someone stepped down and I was asked to step in. So yeah, it's been quite the learning process. I'd also want to congratulate everyone on their newly elected positions. I believe it's truly an exciting time for Revelstoke, and I'm really happy to see some familiar faces on council. So starting off just by saying the name of our presentation today is Forecasting Our Future. So we're here today to talk about the future of the golf club and to discuss how the city fits in with those plans. You know, you guys have all received the presentation in advance, so I'm hoping everyone's reviewed it. Because of the time crunch and save time, I'm going to focus on the slides that I feel are more important. But to start off, as some of you may already know, we started in 1908 as Revelstoke Turf Association, a horse track. So there's horse racing, fall fairs, but World War I put an end to that. And then in 1924, there was a meeting between a few golf enthusiasts in town. They presented to city, and it was decided that the land was best used as a golf club. So I just, wanted to let everyone know, basically that's kind of how the history started. And then we started at 6 holes, 9 holes by the end of the season. In 1967, a final agreement was reached between BC Hydro, the city of Revelstoke, and the Revelstoke Golf Club. So what happened there is BC Hydro turned over 64 acres of low land, which cost them about $232,000 to the city at no cost. They basically gifted it in order for it to be used as parks and recreation. The water table is too high in that area in the Big Eddy Bend, so it's a floodplain and it restricts development of residential or other properties. So that golf club also turned over the property purchased on the back nine from Mrs. Upper in 1954 to the city and received $140,000 in lieu of that, in addition to the 64 acres to continue building the golf course to an 18-hole facility, which is now our front nine. We feel it's important to stress our history and our heritage because we do have a rich one, and I feel that we're not fully embracing that as a tourist attraction as well as just a community asset. So our vision as a golf club is, Revelstoke Golf Club is a first-class golf facility that will serve member, community, and tourist needs for golfers, young and old, expert, and novice, where people work together united to sustain and enhance the course. The course is a unique and affordable place, and I really feel that embracing that history would make our course unique and more appealing to not only the community members but to tourists alike. So we've had some board discussions among ourselves about, if we had unlimited funding, what would we want the golf course to look like? And this is essentially our dream, and embracing, again, the history. I've put together a slide that shows kind of what a revamping of the brand and improvements of our structures on site would look like. So, maybe changing the name to Riverside Downs or the stables and embracing that equestrian theme, having the equestrian fences on the way into the golf course, and really showcasing the history and all the old trophies that we have on display. Having maybe an equestrian or horse-themed restaurant inside the clubhouse. Having history all over the building and maybe a jockey-themed clubhouse. So you can get the idea that we really have something that is not really being used to its full potential at the moment. And this is not too far off what it actually is right now. That's the view from our patio in the back. So you can get an idea of how excited we would be to see something like this in Revelstoke and how that might draw more people to the golf course as a tourist attraction. So what are our strengths as it stands as a golf course right now? Again, you guys have received this in advance, so I've kind of whittled it down to save some time. But these are the main points. So like I said, our history. We host the longest running tournament in BC at the moment. 2015 is going to be our 85th annual Labor Day golf tournament. The geography, so our location, the ease of access and proximity to the highway and downtown. It's nice to be able to ride your bike to the golf course, and also the lack of competition. We're the only golf course within 70 kilometers of the area. And then along with that, our golf club really showcases the Columbia River and the valley views. We have a mountain view from every hole, and it also provides an urban green space for the city of Revelstoke. It's very aesthetically pleasing. We have that manicured landscape. It's a mature course, and there are a lot of environmental benefits that also go alongside having a golf course. Quality product, Greg does a really good job of funding that we give him to produce a great golf course. We have accolades on how well our greens are. We have practice facilities, driving range. The course is walkable, but it's also challenging. It's affordable. And what I love about the game of golf is that it's accessible to, you know, regardless of your age, race, gender, or ability, you can all compete against each other. That's the handicapping systems, and not a lot of other sports offer that. It's a community asset, yes. We all know that as a four-season resort town, golf comes into a huge factor when looking at resort towns. So we also host charitable activities like the Trees for Tots, the Caddy Shack, that raise money for charities. And we have community days that allow people to come enjoy our course for little or no money. And it's also great in junior development, and that's something that I'll show in future slides, but children learn skills that, you know, transfer forward to their future lives through the game of golf. We have weekly events. We have 25 scheduled events for 2015 already. So there's just a lot that we have going for us. Racial recognition, these are just some of the accolades we've received this year alone. I'd like to bring your attention to the hidden gem. I think that that's the most important one there because it's not determined by amateurs and readers of different magazines. It's determined by actual professionals. So we're 17 out of 25 identified as a hidden gem. So what's holding us back? Well, industry-wide there has been a decline in golf. And then our membership also continues to decline with age and the demographics of Revelstoke are changing. So being the only course within a 70-kilometer radius is a positive, but it can also be looked at as a negative to attract the traveling golfers that are RVing on the Okanagan-Thompson Loop versus the Kootenai Rockies Loop. We're right in the middle of those two major, major travel loops, and those people that market to each of those regions have a hard time including us in their marketing because they feel that, you know, they don't necessarily need Revelstoke. So again, that just acts negatively to attracting the traveling golfers. In regards to community, I just feel like public perception of the golf course and, you know, just the support poses a threat to the sustainability of the golf course. And because we are a small population, golf is competing against other recreational activities. As you know, there's a slew of things to do in rugby in the summer, and with golf, there's a time commitment. You have to book a tee time. There's rules. There's a dress code. So that deters some people from playing golf. Resources is a huge threat to us. Weather and the length of this season plays a huge role in the success of our business. So we are restricted that way. And then because of our lack of funds, we have a declining standard of maintenance versus a competition in our closest competition. So our weaknesses that we can, you know, things that are within our control, financial marketing and infrastructure. So this is where we're seeking help. You know, our debt load on a year-to-year basis has really come into factor in the success of our business on an annual basis. We have had past reliance on the bank and on promissory notes, which like we're obviously addressing and not mandating to do that in the future. And we've also had operational cost increases. Our revenue and funds is, I guess it's hindering the success also of our business, and the sustainability of our current business model is something that we've been addressing tirelessly over the past year or 2 years, I suppose. Marketing is something that, coming on board with a marketing background, I noticed first off is a weakness. And the message isn't really aligned. We don't have a unified, cohesive branding of the Revelstoke Golf Club. So we're working on putting together a marketing plan. Greg and I have been working on that the last couple of months as well. So also infrastructure is a huge issue. So it's aging, it's deteriorating, and the condition of the clubhouse is really restricting opportunities for income streams and revenue as well. people come in to maybe have a wedding at the clubhouse and they go in to check out the facility and then they decide, well, it's in pretty bad shape and it's not really conducive for a nicer high-class event. So we are really not keeping up with the demand. We've had people come and see and then just turn around and walk away. So our principles and values at the golf club, we want to ultimately sustain and improve our course quality while keeping it affordable. We are a nonprofit, society managed with fiscal responsibility, and our board is, all volunteer board. So we've been working again, like I say, tirelessly to make improvements over the last few years, and this is what we've done to improve the condition of our golf course or club. So to increase membership, we've put together a membership promotion for this year. Again, like I said, we've been working on a marketing plan for the last few months. We're working with Tom and Megan at the Chamber to build that cohesive marketing initiative. We're updating the website, billboards, and rack cards to have one unified message. We've increased junior membership from 8 in 2013 to 24 in last year, which is huge in building the sustainability of the game of golf. We've added a junior division to our Labor Day. We've got the grade 7 school program, and next year we already have junior days, a junior camp, and the school program scheduled in again. And those are the things that we've done to increase the junior membership of our club as well. Financial stability, probably one of the most important points you guys are looking at today. So we are a couple years in on this 5-year strategic plan that we've been implementing based on the recommendations of a golf course consultant. We have, like Heather mentioned, set up a financial committee. We've restructured our model of operation that resulted in a $60,000 savings annually. We paid out the cart lease agreement with an infrastructure grant. We put a freeze on capital expenditures, applied for compensation from the RIP-RAP project that's happening at the moment. We've taken a look at our insurance policy and restructured it, updated it, and reduced those costs. We've increased our focus in researching funding opportunities, restructured our debt management plan with a lower interest rate that allows for a lower annual capital commitment. We've reduced our long-term debt by 20% this year alone. We've done some events to raise some money for the club, and we're now providing clear and transparent financials that you don't have today because they're not prepared yet, but will be to you on Thursday. So, other action items, industry standard or industry trend is just to make the game easier. So we built clear yellow tees. They're rated and in use now. We've started new programs. So on Monday nights we've got family night, and then a regular ladies and men's night on Tuesday and Wednesday nights, and then shotgun Thursdays and cricket and sip-it for the more social or casual golfer on Friday. We've scheduled golf clinics for next year. We received a grant from the credit union last year for the patio beautification project, and then obviously this PowerPoint, along with a lot of meetings and strategic relationship building with stakeholders in and around the community, has really helped us increase awareness and is helping people recognize the golf club as an asset to the community. So what next for us? We feel that we're important, and like I mentioned before, as a 4-season resort town, golf is a critical sport or recreation involved in that definition. But we also feel that embracing our history is something that we would like to see happen in the future as well. A question that we have is, why aren't we included in the Parks, Recreation, and Culture budget? As a landlord, essentially is what the city of Revelstoke is of the building. It's the city's responsibility to maintain the structural integrity of the buildings. And in the past, I think the last time when the last question was asked, 1993 was the last time taxpayers' dollars may have paid for improvements at the golf course. Yes, we received some grant money in the past, but zero taxpayers' dollars have been allocated to the golf course to maintain your building that you own. So, opportunities, there's a lot of ideas that we have to, increase the revenue, improve the golf course. We want to of course, become a sought-after venue for events, but the building and the condition of our clubhouse is holding us back from that. Weddings, corporate tournaments, charity events. There's just a slew of business opportunities out there that we're not taking advantage of. Again, taking advantage of our history and embracing that. Increasing heads and beds through effective event marketing of our new programs and through the RA hotel packages and our work with the chamber there. But just basically revamp the brand and improve appeal, which is good timing with the aging infrastructure that we have at the moment. To improve our community, we have right now 25 plus staff, so there are employment opportunities at the golf course. We offer youth services through all of our junior programs for growth and development. There's a younger demographic in Revelstoke now, so that means more casual golfers and opportunities to take advantage of our practice facilities and participate in the newer casual and fun events that we've started up. There's been talk about potentially having an RV park where our maintenance shed currently exists, which would be another income stream for the golf course. We want to take full advantage of social media and just continue to build partnerships with our stakeholders, that being Chamber, the City, the Community Futures, RAA, CBT, and RMR. So how do we get there? Well, number one, I feel moving forward that we have a really strong board at the moment. Everyone's very committed to seeing this golf course succeed. So continued commitment, consistency, capacity, and accountability. We definitely need to work and improve our marketing and relationship building in the community. But first and foremost, I feel that the debt reduction would really improve the golf course's situation. We come into every season in the glue, and just having to deal with the debt repayments on a yearly basis has been holding us back. So we're trying to restructure the way we work things in order to make it more sustainable for us. So right now we've applied for grant funding that will free up some cash and reduce our long-term debt by about $91,000. Then we can focus on what we want to focus on. So how can the City of Revelstoke help? Well, yes, support our club and our events, but we would like to be included as a line item in your budget, and not to increase the budget, but maybe an adjustment of the current budget, and be viewed as a part of the recreation package of the City of Revelstoke. And that's it. Do you guys have any questions?
Any questions from council?
Yeah, I have a question.
Scott?
So, including you in the line item, that's good, but the undertone would be that you would get some funding from us. I have two questions. What is ideally would that number be? I mean, you might not know it as of yet, but what would that number be? And I'm sure you guys have discussed it. And then the other question I have was, you're asking to be relieved of the debt that you currently have owing to the city. What is that number? Do you guys know that number?
Probably around 36,000, Scott.
Okay.
I think it's around $12,000 a year, $12,000 to $14,000 a year, which was 2% of our gross revenue that we were paying to the city, which.
So it's been a couple of years then that it's been.
Was a release
We're
payment?
into our third year of not being able to pay that lease payment.
Okay.
Councilor Nixon.
Has there been any costing to get you to your dream that you put up in front of us? Have you had that costed out?
No, not as of now, because there are a lot of other issues before we can take steps to build that. But that is essentially the end goal. And right now, there's a lot of structural issues and things that we need to get sorted out, and improvements to the course that need to happen as well.
There's long-range planning that we haven't even started on yet, Linda, that has to be addressed, and that's yet another committee that we have to set up, and just start looking at setting us up and putting us in a direction, where we're going, and how do we get there.
Yeah.
Councilor Sills.
Heather, Sabina, just want to ask, The lease agreement, nothing has been paid on that for 2 or 3 years, is that correct?
We're into the third year.
Okay. Building maintenance agreement, is there a building maintenance agreement in place for the infrastructure for the building, the clubhouse, in place with the city or with anyone else?
We have a city lease agreement, and Tim can probably answer that. Yes, we do. And it's structural, and it's exterior is what the city's responsible for on the building. Is that the question?
Yes.
Karen, have I answered that?
Yeah.
Councillor Duke.
What's the downside of privatizing the club? Have you thought about, I mean, that's just more of a question for us, I suppose, if we wanted to sell the club. What would you lose?
I think I'd get Greg to answer that question because he knows more about, the purchasing. And I know you mentioned something about the rise.
Yeah, one of the issues with the privatizing is the value of golf facilities that in the golf industry, or actually in real estate right now. Most golf developments are related to real estate development, and there wouldn't be, as the club exists now, that opportunity. I'll use the Rise in Vernon as an example. That golf course has about $20 to $25 million worth of infrastructure put into it. Is a new state-of-the-art facility and just sold for $1.5 million. So what would the Revelstoke Golf Club sell for with the deteriorating infrastructure at 90 years of age? So that is one thing to consider. Also, right now the golf course is operated by a nonprofit. That's a benefit for the community. It raises funds for charities, for local community, and it's a hub of recreation for everybody in the community. You risk losing that if you have a private owner.
And what are you selling right now? You're selling, you've got a course with crumbling infrastructure. You don't have, the membership is marginal, like we've dropped in membership. Our green fees have dropped. Can a private business go in there and do a better job? Maybe. But what is the motive of somebody privatizing it? Because all of a sudden, like Greg said, it becomes, why would you buy the property? And the only thing that I could think that one would buy that property is to develop that property. So you'd lose your golf course. Because why would somebody buy it to run a golf course? I'm just asking that.
Yeah,
You don't want to lose the golf course, but we're looking for, I'm just asking, I asked what the downsides were.
One more thing to add as well is there's different agreements for different sections of property on the golf course. So, 9 holes was originally donated by BC Hydro. There might be covenants or agreements in place that would affect the ability of that transfer of title. So, it's something that needs to be investigated further to be able to answer the question in full.
Councillor Orlando, did you have your hand up?
Oh, sure. Thank you, Your Worship. First of all, Heather and Sabina, thank you guys so much for coming today and giving the presentation and giving an update. One of the requests you're bringing to council today is more of a relationship, partnership with the city. I was wondering if you can describe to me what the relationship and partnership has been in the past, 10 years or 20 years or whatever you think is relevant. Start with that.
I don't think there has been a relationship with the city to my knowledge. Aside, we just have a city lease agreement, landlord versus tenant, and there really hasn't been a relationship in place.
I guess a follow-up question to that is, for example, a couple of years ago, there was an engineering report that looked into capital issues there. Has there been any process whereby you're working with the city or dealing with staff on those kinds of things?
We've had some dialogue, but certainly nothing has transpired from that dialogue that I know of heading forward. I'm really not sure. That decision lies with the city on what's going to happen with the building and what direction you're going in. So we really don't have a say in it because we're just a tenant. We look after the interior of the building and the exterior, and the structural is your responsibility.
So I assume if it's a lease agreement, that you're dealing with administration on in that lease agreement, is that correct? And you don't currently have any relationship with the Parks, Rec and Culture Committee or Department?
No, we've been
it's the
actually,
lease agreement.
we've had dialogue with Tim and we've been working with Tim on.
Councilor English.
2014, what was the membership and what was the number of memberships and what's the target to get Rothman?
We were up this year by about $12,000, I think,
$14,000.
that much.
What does
And
that equal in personal memberships?
That's 181 members, and we had a drop from previous year, we were at 230,
Okay.
and we dropped to 181. Our goal is to get back to that 230, and our, where we'd really like to be is around 300 members.
What number gets you, like, what's the target? What gets you back in the black, membership-wise?
What gets us, it's not just membership,
There's
it's
green
green
fees.
fees as well,
Green fees
or
as
the
well.
2 streams of revenue that are coming in, so probably around 250,000 to 260 in memberships, do you agree with that, Rick? And
Yeah.
then with the green fee revenue, I'm gonna say that 2 years ago, we were at 238. If we were in that area to 250, we're floating along not too bad.
It's difficult to forecast because it changes from year to year. It really is variable. So in a year when our membership goes up, we tend to have green fees go down. And in years when we have green fees increase, we tend to have membership go down. And it's variable depending on economic climate, geography, weather related. If you have a wet May and June, you're in for a tough green fee year. And, if you haven't sold memberships before then, it's very similar to what the ski industry is where you don't get an early snow. So, it is variable. It sounds like, the numbers aren't solid, but we have numbers there. Roughly you want to exceed your expenses by a couple $100,000, and right now we're really struggling just to meet our expenses with revenue. So,
Councilor Orlando.
It's my understanding that a lot of volunteer effort goes into operating the club. Can you give us a little bit more idea of how, is that quantifiable, and maybe give me a description of some of the things that volunteers do to keep the facility operational?
Well, on a yearly basis, our whole board of directors is run by volunteers, but Greg would know from a course maintenance standpoint, the number of hours that get spent, so.
yeah, well, I'll just use this as an example. There's an overall number there, but I don't have it specifically right now. But the people that are here in this room right now, Sabina, Heather, Gerard, our board of directors, above and beyond their board commitment, Sabina, I don't know, you probably put in 20 to 25 hours a week of volunteer time for, gotta be 6 months at least, longer than that. Same with Heather.
I'm probably 30 hours a week right now in my volunteerism for the golf club.
Yeah. And
It's like
then,
a full-time job.
and this extends into our operations. We've reduced our expenses considerably. And that's because of people like Gerard or just members, Kip Holloway, a guy who'll come and spend 16 hours a week on a rough mower for the whole year, and not bat an eye. So, I do have specific numbers that I can provide. I just don't have them with me here, but it's overwhelming the amount of volunteer hours that are contributed, and everybody recognizes that it's incredibly important that we maintain that, because if we don't, then our operations will, our bottom line will suffer. So,
Are you able to ballpark that in terms of how many full-time employees a year, like you have on like a weekly basis? Like, I'm hearing 1.5 or 1.75 for these two alone.
As in volunteer hours of full-time work, or actually people that are employed?
Like we have the equivalent of, when all of our volunteerism is included, we have the equivalent of 6 full-time employees working out there on a volunteer basis alone. Something like that.
Yeah, I don't have that with me.
Okay, but thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions from council? Any questions from staff? You guys are good? Sabina?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I want to thank you guys for coming today. I also would like to tell you how much I appreciate all the volunteer work that the volunteers do at the golf course. It obviously wouldn't be there at all if it didn't have the high level of commitment. And golfing is an important recreation facility in the community, and I'm hoping that there's a way that we can be working together and help become part of the solution to the problems. I do like some of the new ideas that you've got for getting new members. I think it's good to see some innovative ideas being brought to the table, and there is that stigma about the golf course in the community, and I think that the things that you're doing now are going to help erase that stigma, and I can only hope that more and more people will get out there and enjoy the incredible facility that we have. And thanks again for coming today.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Item 6, is there any business arising from the minutes of the special council minutes of November the 4th? Any business arising from the minutes of the inaugural council minutes of December the 1st? Moving into correspondence, the first item that we have is the letter from the Revelstoke Golf Club.
Yes, your worship, I'll bring forward that the Revelstoke Golf Club request for waiving financial obligations be referred to staff for a financial impact report, and that the request from the golf course for financial support be referred to the financial committee.
Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Sauls, did you get that motion okay? Discussion on that motion? All those in favor? Motion's carried, thank you. And the next item I have is correspondence from Columbia Basin Trust, Know Your Watershed. Anybody prepared to do we need a motion for providing staff time?
We're requesting it, yes.
Okay.
I'll make that motion, your worship, that
Moved by
staff
Councillor
time
Nixon,
be provided for tours for the Columbia Basin Trust Know Your Watershed program.
seconded by Councillor Orlando. Any discussion on that motion? Looks like a good program, and wait to see hear the results of it. Looks good. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Next item that I have is response from Stella Jones. Just information.
Just information, worship.
First item under new business is zoning amendment bylaw number 2060, vacation rental. Anybody from planning want to, Councillor Duke?
That zoning amendment bylaw number 2060 being a bylaw to allow for vacation rental use received first and second readings, and that the public hearing be held at 2 p.m. Tuesday, January 13, 2015 in council chambers.
Moved by Councillor Duke, seconded by Councillor Nixon. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor? Motion's carried, thank you. And the next is zoning amendment bylaw number 2061.
And then I'll just keep going through all these.
Sure. Why don't you all use your voice?
That zoning amendment bylaw number 2061 being a bylaw to include vacation rental in R4 high-density residential subzone district received first and second readings, and that the public hearing be held at 2 p.m. Tuesday, January 13, 2015 in council chambers.
Seconded by Councillor Nixon. Discussion on that motion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. And we're at zoning bylaw number 2062.
That the 2015, you ready? The 2015 budget include funds for all the council and the chief administrative officer.
Wait, no.
What did I say one?
Item C.
C, sorry.
C?
Yeah. That zoning amendment bylaw 2062 being a bylaw to allow for vacation rental use received first and second reading, and the public hearing be held 2:00 p.m. on Tuesday, January 13, 2015 in council chambers.
Seconded by Councillor English. Discussion on that motion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Now you're on item D.
All right. The 2015 budget includes funds for all of the council and chief administrative officer to attend the local government leadership academy elected officials seminar in Kelowna.
Motion by Councillor Duke, second Councillor Orlando. Discussion. Councillor Nixon.
Just wondering if council wants to talk a bit about running education for how council feels about this.
Is there cost savings?
Yeah, because I would like to comment as well.
You can comment as well.
Yeah. I just think that to send all, I mean, we ran them to save money to the community, and I figured this is the first one that's not, that we could definitely save money quite easily. It's $11,000. And also Tim's time, 3 days, going down to this, and that our times maybe be used better. That's my personal feeling on it.
Did you want to ask a question?
I do. I would like to explore the cost of bringing training in, and if there's a cost savings. I mean, I believe that as newly elected officials, we do need some training, certainly as well as the city. It's training that I want to have, but I'd like to do it in the most cost-effective way possible. And if there is possibly an online option that we could take, something that we could explore, I would be interested in doing that.
Have we looked at any options?
Your worship, not to date, we can get that.
Somebody had their hand
Yeah,
over here.
I agree with the others. I'd like to look at the alternative, of bringing someone in. If we could get someone in for that.
Councillor Lando.
Is there any indication at this point whether there would be cost savings?
Your worship, on the short term, I would anticipate there would be some cost savings. Bringing in a professional in town does come with costs as well. The accommodation and also the costs are fairly high. So it's probably in the neighborhood of a few $1,000s, maybe as much as half this price, to having a professional with that expertise.
So should we table this motion until the 23rd meeting, and then maybe we should have some information by then? And we need a motion to table.
Yes.
Moved by Councillor Stoll, seconded by Councillor Nixon. Motion is to table, no discussion, all in favor? Motion is carried. So we're tabling the motion to the next council meeting. We'll come back here with more information on possible cost savings. I don't know why you guys just won't let me do it. I'll just tell you everything to do. And things will go smoothly. Even if I'm wrong. Item E, 2014 election results. Who would like to just receive this information? So do we need a motion for that?
Yes.
Okay. Councillor Lando.
That the Chief Election Officer's report on 2014 election results dated December 3rd, 2014 be received as information.
And seconded by Councillor Nixon. Discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. And item F. Who wants to do this? What would be under? Councillor Lando.
That the janitorial services contracts for the community center and the courthouse be awarded to Consummate Building Services, and that the mayor and chief administrative officer be authorized to sign the 3-year contract effective January 1st, 2015.
And seconder for that motion, Councillor English. Discussion. I'm under the impression that this is a reduction from the previous 3-year contract, which is kind of nice to see. Councillor Orlando.
Yeah, just a clarification question on that point. It notes about a $65,000 reduction. Is that a different service level, or is that just better?
Sharpening the pencil.
Your worship, yes, that's sharpening the pencil. No reduction in
And that 65 is over a 3-year period.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so $20,000 a year. Any more discussion on this motion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Proposed sign bylaw number 2054. We need a motion first to receive the public hearing summary.
That council received the public hearing summary for new sign bylaw number 2054, and that the following minor amendment to the proposed new sign bylaw number 2054 be approved. To amend section 5.13 from 1 service event sign per event to 2 service event sign per event, in response to the request from Don Gillespie on behalf of the Rotary Club and the public hearing to exempt 2 service event signs from sign permitting and bylaw regulations.
Seconded by Councillor English. No, sorry, Councillor Nixon. I gotta get the names all straight up. Manager of Development Services, Mr. Strachan, you have some comments on this?
Thank you, Worship. We did receive one written submission as well as had two people speak at the public hearing for the sign bylaw that was held in October. You'll find in the package a summary of the input that was received as well as a staff response. And noting in the recommendation that the Rotary Club had asked for a second sign to be included to allow them to put one sign on each end of town to advertise their events. Thank you, Worship.
Okay. Any discussion? I have one comment I'd like to make on this motion. I just feel that the sign bylaw did make the rounds of the community, received a few minor comments. I just would like to take this opportunity, since we're not finalizing the sign bylaw at this stage here, is to have it go back out to and make the rounds either with staff or with new council, and see if there's other opportunities for a business community to have some input, new ideas, and see if there's any other additions that we could put to this. So it's not critical that this thing get put to bed now. So I just suggesting that we do that. I talked with Mr. Strachan on that already. Any comments from council? Councilor Orlando.
I feel that we're going to be facing a lot of the tail end of the past council's work, and we need to consider our future workload. And so something like the sign bylaw, for example, has been a contentious and ongoing one over the past several years. And the question for myself is, do we, in these types of decisions, say, okay, this is good enough, let's give it a shot, or do we work on this one again, and I'm gonna struggle with this one on that point? We just say this is okay. For myself, I personally hummed and hawed, but my feeling is we have so much work to do that something like this, we might as well give it a chance and see if it will work, and explore that later on. But sort of covering both ways on that one, and that's my thought.
Councilor Nixon.
I know it went to the Chamber of Commerce, went out to all their members. I know that it went to the Enhancement Committee and was well received. Mr. Strachan was there at those meetings, and I have no problem with it going back to those two bodies to get out to their members.
I guess the question to you, Mr. Strachan, is what time frame do you see if we just went through to complete it, and what the time frame would be to go out for one more kick at the cap?
Your Worship, the time frame to complete it would be council supported moving forward with the bylaw and come back on the 23rd for third reading and consideration of final readings and adoption, and the bylaw would be coming in place. If council wished to have further public input conducted, we certainly could do that. We go back to the chamber and other committees that council felt was a good opportunity to do. We would have to have a second public hearing. The public hearing has been closed for the bylaws. We would reopen that. So we likely schedule a public hearing for later in January or early February. Return to council with the input that we received through those meetings, as well as any input that's received in advance of the public hearing, and then return back to council with a similar report of the summary of that information for consideration of third reading of the bylaw later in February or March.
So it's coming back here on the 23rd regardless?
Nope.
No.
Council makes the
gonna...
decision to move towards more public input. We would ask for a resolution to do that. We would then go out and prepare a report for that consultation. Likely return to council on the 23rd with a consultation plan outlining recommendations on who we should and how we should proceed with that if council wishes, and move forward from that, and then return with bylaw in the process next year.
But we could make that decision to further engage the public on the 23rd, or we could take it to third reading on the 23rd.
Yes, you could, Your Worship.
So I guess what I'm suggesting now then is, if we were to make some inquiries to find out if there's an appetite to be looking at it, we could make that decision on the 23rd. that would not slow anything down from what Councillor Orlando's concern is.
Your worship, the only cautionary on that is that the public hearing is closed, so council should not be receiving new input on the bylaw until such time as they've given a third reading and adoption. So there is a third option, is to proceed with the bylaw completed and look at a longer process of consultation with the community, because there is some benefit in this bylaw in that it does remove sections of the signed bylaw that are causing some significant interpretation conflict in the community. So that is a third option that could be available for council to consider.
Councillor Nixon.
I know Ms. Goodman made an effort to get a hold of people for input on it, and people have an issue with a sign when it's their time, their sign. That's when they pay attention to the sign bylaw. But to ask them to study the sign bylaw and give feedback on it, the enhancement committee really paid attention to it. So I think we should move ahead with it.
Far be it from me to slow this council down. Okay. So we're just going ahead with this motion, and then and the third reading will come on the 23rd.
Yes, your worship, this motion is only to accept the public hearing summary
Yeah.
and to consider this minor amendment that we've recommended based on the Rotary Club's input. The next step would be the third reading bylaw would come forward at the next council meeting for your consideration.
Is there any more discussion on this motion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you, Mr. Stratton. Yeah, that's near and dear to everybody's heart.
Okay, that the procurement for odor control equipment be awarded to Advanced Air Solutions in the sum of $105,930 plus tax.
Motion by Councillor Duke, seconded by Councillor Nixon. You're enthusiastic, I'll give that to you.
I told him to do it.
Whatever all the public hearing ones is, which falls into the planning department. I thought this one here would kind of fall more into public works, which would be Councillor Souls, but you seem so enthusiastic.
Here it is, still your thunder.
We're not gonna say where that stuff flows, Scott.
So when we get the training, we'll have to really emphasize that part of it. We have a motion by Councillor Duke, seconded by Councillor Nixon. Is there discussion on this motion? Councillor Orlando.
I'm supportive of this motion. I've had lots of opportunity to talk to the neighbors who are affected by this and find out about the issues. I've walked up there with my dog on the smelly nights, and it's an issue that we need to get dealt with. This project was budgeted last year, so this is not necessarily a funding approval at this point. I've had an opportunity to talk with staff about, is this going to work or not, and it seems there's a high level of confidence. We need to provide good services to the community. This has been however many years that we've had an issue here, and I think we need to get on top of it and deal with this. I think we can deliver a big win to the residents of Southside in that neighborhood. Plus, we have potential further development ambitions as a city up there, and so it's time to deal with this. I'm also thankful for staff for doing a scientific analysis of the problem, because for a while it was sort of what is the cause, and we have a better understanding of this coming out of the pipes as opposed to the lagoons, and it seems like we have a targeted solution here, so I'm happy with this.
But correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Thomas, is that what we're doing is we're forgetting about the bacteria that's in there. We're just attacking the odor problem with the charcoal filtration system. So we're not relying on whether it's working or not.
Yeah, Your Worship, this is it's a system that's it's not a treatment process that will deal with like the bacteria. Instead, it's a filtration system, so it's an air cleaner system. The headworks, inlet works, has a big fan out of it. It's blowing very smelly straight out of that building. That's what we're targeting here. It's not the lagoons itself.
And just for the people that may be watching or in the media, the idea is that what we're doing is we're buying the equipment, we're then gonna put an RFP together, and then we're let out a contract for the installation, and late spring, early summer is the timeline that we're hoping to have this completed, up and running, and sweet smelling.
Yes, the expectation is that fabrication of this will start fairly soon. We'll get shop drawings that we'll be able to put out to tender for installation, hopefully early in the new year. That tender award will come back to council because I'm expecting that again will be over staff's authorization limit for spending. And construction is expected to be completed before summer 2015.
Councillor Duke, you had your hand up? Motion's on the floor. Any more discussion on that motion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Okay. That the development variance permit application fee of $600 be waived, and that the development variance permit application submitted by Green Cat Home Repair on behalf of Tanis Kingcott for the property parcel B of lot 15 and parcel B of lot 16, both of plans 636E, 700 Street, 6th Street, to vary zoning bylaw number 1264, section 5.12C, to reduce the minimum setback for a projecting roof canopy from 4.0 meters to 0.8 meters be approved, subject to the following condition. The site rendering and engineering plans are to be included with a development variance permit as Schedule A, and that the corporate officer be authorized to issue the development variance permit once the above noted condition has been satisfied.
Moved by Councillor Duke, second by Councillor Nixon. Mr. Strachan.
Thank you, Your Worship. As noted, the development variance permit is to reduce the setback for projection. There is a part to the resolution that Councillor Duke did read out, which is a request to waive the fee associated with this variance. So you'll notice on 6th Street, we've got a very wide boulevard here, so the property line is the blue line, and you can see the edge of the asphalt. So when you see the actual property itself, it looks like they've got a large front yard area. However, that area is actually mostly associated with our city boulevard. So the projection request is to extend the roof. Currently, the roof doesn't cover the last stair on her staircase, and accessibility issues are causing difficulty with maintaining the staircase. So this proposal is to replace this staircase with a new staircase, as well as extend the roof so that it fully covers the steps, allowing for the homeowner to more easily maintain it, as well as ensure that they remain as much as possible ice-free for access for the property owner. The property owner has applied for and received a grant from BC Housing. The grant is to cover the works of the project, but doesn't cover the $600 variance that's required. Unfortunately, they've identified that as being a limiting hardship on their ability to proceed with this project. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Mr. Strachan. Any discussion on this motion? Councillor Nixon.
Just for the public to know that the screening for need has already been done because BC Housing would not have given the money for this project had they not measured the needs of the client.
Any more discussion on the motion? I was just going to comment that I'm glad to see that the waiving of the application fee is supported and obviously supported around the table, and happy to see that included here. I'm calling a question on the motion. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Councillor Duke.
I'm going to let Linda do this one just because I'm in conflict with it.
Should we explain the conflict? So Councillor Duke is excusing himself because of his property management company that manages this piece of property. And you can't get a blow door that's unlocked.
Make for entertaining video.
Please lock that door, Mr. Chairman. Who would like to do this? Councilor Nixon?
I'll do this, Your Worship. Rezoning application, vacation rental, 1766 Theoteki Road, Allen Kennedy. That the rezoning application submitted by Allen Kennedy to rezone Lot 10, Plan 9484, 1766 Theoteki Road from single-family residential district R1 to subzone single-family vacation rental district R1B be supported to proceed with the rezoning bylaw.
Motion by Councilor Nixon, seconded by Councilor Sells. Any discussion on the motion? Any comments, Mr. Strachan?
Just a brief overview, Your Worship. It's a vacation rental application to rezone the property from R1 to R1B. As noted in the report, you'll see that they provided indicated the provision of parking in the garage as well as in the front yard area to accommodate the requirement for one vehicle parking stall per bedroom. As per the bylaw, they're not permitted to have more than 2 vehicles parked in front of the house. So they propose to have one vehicle parking stall located on the side adjacent to the garage. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay. Any comments, questions from council? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Would you mind letting our councillor back in? Want to do this next one, Councillor Orlando?
Sure. Item K, that the Revelstoke Youth Soccer Association be awarded a grant in aid for 2014 of a further $282 to cover the cost of facility rental, and that this grant in aid have no cash value.
Motion by Councillor Orlando, seconded by Councillor English. Discussion on the motion? Councillor Orlando, Councillor Orlando, since you made the motion, you can speak first.
Yeah, I believe that, I think this is an administration thing, but just a question of staff. It's my understanding that the grant name program was reaffirmed or relooked at about a year ago-ish to emphasize that the program be used for one-off sort of hardship things, not ongoing funding. Is that correct, and is that this request in that kind of spirit?
Your Worship, that's part of the intent of the council when they revamped the grant and aid policy. When this grant and aid was first asked for by this particular group, there was an estimate made of what the facility rental was going to be. However, it came out a little bit more than what they were anticipating, and so they came back to the Finance Committee to ask for a further $282 to cover off the full cost.
Thank you, Mr. Inglis. Yeah, and that's just by way of getting that information out there that this is the intent of this program, and I support this.
Councillor Duke?
Yeah, support as well. I'm just wondering what facility it was that they were renting. This is the...
Yes, Your Worship, I believe it was the community centre.
Any more discussion on the motion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Item I, thank you, Your Worship. Revelstoke Mountain Fireworks Resort, Revelstoke Mountain Resort Fireworks authorization, that Revelstoke Mountain Resort be authorized to set off consumer-grade fireworks following any terms and conditions relating to life safety as determined by the fire chief, and that Revelstoke Mountain Resort follows all requirements of the Federal Explosives Regulations 2013 Part 16 Consumer Fireworks.
Motion by Councillor English, seconded by Councillor Nixon. Discussion on the motion. Councillor Orlando.
It's not 100% clear to me if the cost of this is recouped in fees and bylaws. If I could just ask that question.
What would be the cost? Is there a cost to the city for this?
There's 550 as mentioned here, no?
Your Worship, that is just an estimate of my time to attend the site and make sure that compliance is happening with regards to this display. It's an estimate.
Councillor Nixon.
I would just like a written follow-up report that no commercial grade fireworks were used.
I can do that.
Any more discussion on this motion? Councillor Lando.
Just more comment in the future, if there's going to be costs that could be incorporated, maybe that's a discussion for future councils, not relating to this particular matter.
Any more comments, discussion, questions? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Next item is employee health and wellness policy. Parks and Rec?
Yes, that the report from the Director of Parks, Recreation and Culture dated October 21st, 2014 regarding the employee health and wellness program be received for information.
Moved by Councillor Lando, second by Councillor Nixon. Discussion on the motion. Councillor Nixon.
I think this has been a really good program for the city staff. The intake and uptake on this has been very positive, and it's a good way for an organization to staff, and I'd like to see a bigger intake from other partners in the community to get their employees out there doing this.
We could set the bar for everybody else.
Yes.
All right. Just in case anybody's not sure what we're talking about, we're talking about a health and wellness policy that allows city staff to enjoy our facilities at a reduced rate. And notice in the letter that our sick days have been reduced since this program came into effect. Councillor Orlando, you have a comment?
Yeah, the report references 622 sick hours that have been reduced and a doubling of revenue from about 2,000 to 4,000, and that's pretty significant. Yeah, anytime we can increase revenue is a good thing. I think maybe the food for thought for the future is, why was revenue increased that much? Was it word of mouth? Was it marketing? Who knows? But it may be something to look at in the future as we try and increase revenue for all the services to explore how we can do this. And then again, like you said, be a leader on workplace health and safety, as well as bringing our numbers up and bringing our attendance up.
Any more comments on this motion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. So item 10, communications. Is this done is there a motion to receive all these or no?
You can entertain a motion to receive if you wish, it's not necessary.
I'm not sure if anybody has any of their departments that they would like to bring any items of information out of these for public consumption. Councillor Duke?
Yeah, I was interested, the aquatic center numbers, the aquatic center numbers are up as far as usage, which is nice to see. But in the revenues, those increased usage, there's decreased revenue from usage. So if you look at the charts here in D, I'm speaking with, January, February, March, April, it's all up as far as usage goes. And then when you look at the revenue chart, January, February, March, they're down a little bit from 2012. So I'm just wondering how there's increased usage but decreased revenues.
Councillor Nixon?
That would maybe be related to non-season taxes. See the big spike here?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask too,
Yeah.
if that's that.
Councillor Lando?
Yeah, I was hoping maybe we could flag the individual items that we were going to discuss and then do them from top to bottom, because I did have a comment similar to that. So we're doing number D, we're doing...
Well, we're not doing it. I just asked if anybody had anything out of any of the others that they want to bring out. I'm not sure what council's pleasure is. I don't know if you want to direct that question or just staff will take it as a comment and get that information back.
I mean, they can give it back, or if they have it right now, they can just let us know.
I'm not sure if Graham would have that. No, and I don't think Lori is here.
Lori's not here too, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
She knew you were going to ask that question. So we'll just leave that, defer that for staff to get back to anybody in council that would like to know. Councilor Lana, you have something you want to bring out of there?
Yes, but I'm hoping to start with A and just move into this.
Let's start with A. Anything out of A anybody would like to bring out? No? B? C.
If we get to D.
Okay, D.
Alright, I did my D.
You just want to see if I know the alphabet. E. I have an E. Is there anything in E? Oh, there is. Let's start on E. What would you like there, Councilman?
I noticed in this report, it's sort of similar to the last question from Councilor Duke, is we've got some good numbers and then we've got some bad numbers, and they don't make a ton of sense to me. And I guess I noticed on this report that there's a comment section. For example, last year we had the previous year we had 422 dog complaints. This year we had 145 dog complaints. So my question is why what is that, been more than halved? And I would just have a future request to have information on why we've had that. Good news or bad news, depending on how you do it. And furthermore, on this report, there's a lot of numbers here for revenue, but there's no bottom lining. It would be nice to see a bottom line on this report. And then we had the same thing. Good news. We had a revenue increase from 4,570 to 7,530 on licenses sold by City Hall. That's great news. Why do we have such great news? Just a general request on sort of filling this out so we can make more meaningful discussion about these reports. That's it.
Okay. I don't know if any staff have any comments?
Your Worship, I'll bring a report back to the next council meeting once I sit down and meet with the animal control officer.
Okay, thanks. I think that's Teresa way back there. The bowling alley. Where are we? We're on item F. G. Councilor Orlando.
Yeah, this, again, we're sort of running through some, well, these are not too old. I noticed in new business, in this report, just as an example, there's a discussion of the adult daycare program spaces being reduced from 12 down to 9, and in the report, it mentions they're going to follow up with it, but it's my intention to have an eagle eye on when other levels of government are doing service reductions. So I'm hoping that in the subsequent report we'll have a follow-up on this as to why these numbers are going.
They came to me.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, I was just curious what was going on. Enhancement committee minutes of item H.
Your Worship, can we just go back to the health committee? Just,
Absolutely.
transit numbers, just a reminder to staff, to Mr. Mason, that early in the new year, if we could have a stakeholders meeting for transit, or if it could come to council first. Because I think we have some new data that has not come to the council yet.
Okay, good. So that'll be automatically passed on to Mr. Mason, is that? Transit?
Yeah, we have a motion on that.
Sure,
Yeah.
I'll just make that motion that we follow up on the current data that was collected by transit, be presented to council, followed by stakeholders.
Seconded by Councilor Bush. Did you have a comment, Councilor Armando?
Oh, sorry, second.
That's all right. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Where are we? H, enhancement committee meeting. Item I, finance committee minutes. J, social development.
Sorry, I'm going to jump in on the financial committee meeting minutes there. Just a question. So we see that our prisoner costs went up to $90,000 against a budget of $60,000. Is there, what is that? Are we imprisoning more people, or they're staying longer in jail? Or what's maybe the staff sergeant?
Your Worship, we had a number of people that were subjected to time served in Revelstoke. They would spend time in the cells from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as their time served rather than going to Kamloops. that incurred extra costs. That's the courts directing those times served in Revelstoke.
And that's automatically an expense for us?
That becomes a cost to the detachment for having a guard present and meals.
Do we foresee that happening in the future?
We will have another one here in another week.
Okay.
Staff Sergeant Grabinski, is there anything to be done about that, or is that just going to be the way it is?
It's fairly common in a community, small community away from, that doesn't have a penitentiary or any type of system. So that is going to be fairly common, and we've also had an increase overall of prisoners.
Do we feel, this council feel we need to be referring this to a budget process if this is going to be this is going to come from?
Well, I would say would be automatically, would be a budget concern that would go to budget meetings. Anytime that we have a budget line item that would go over, that would then be looked at automatically. Mr. Lewis?
Your worship, yes, we do keep an eye on that. Part of the problem is the delay in billing by the RCMP prison health, so there's a time lag between us budgeting and the actual bills that come in. So part of this $90,000 actually refers to the previous year, where we actually were under budget. So there's a timing difference between the two of these.
Any other comments on this? Social development minutes, item J. Legion support letter. Farwell Park pool letter. Snow removal follow-up email.
Just,
Councilor
your
Mason.
worship, just to refer to the new public works committee for follow-up.
Okay.
Motion to refer to Public Works Committee, seconded by Councilor Stolz. Right?
Yep.
Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor? Against? Motion's carried. Canadian Federation Independent Business Letter. Item N. Item O. North Columbia Environmental Society information. Item P, UVCM notification of executive vacancies. Any questions from the media?
Not for me today, your worship.
Mr. Cooper?
Not directly to you guys, more for golf club and stuff like that. But
Sorry for...
Nothing for you guys, no.
Okay. All right. I want to thank all the public for showing up today, and I'm looking for a motion to go in camera. Section 9.1 CG.